Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of DragonTalks, the vodcast about fantasy and science fiction webcomics. I'm your host Matt, and today I'll be talking with Stephanie, also known as J. Dickens, from the webcomic Lost Nova.
Hey!
How about you introduce your webcomic to the viewers?
Alright, well, I read a webcomic, it's called Lost Nova. It's about two characters named Pyrina and Vera, and they're looking for the lost island of Nova, and they're looking for two different reasons. Pyrina and Vera. Pyrina is a foundling. She was found on the beach when she was a child, and she doesn't really have any recollection of who she was before then. The only clues she might have is a mark on her cheek, and that she can read the dead language Novan. Vera is looking for the island because she is a haver. She's a half-elf, and she's basically trying to find the island as a like a nation for her people, basically. And so she's using Pyrina to help find the island of Nova, and they're kind of working together to find it for different reasons.
Right.
They're basically working together.
Now, where you're in the strip right now is you're around page 63 or so, and they've only just met each other, so they're about to set up on this huge journey together. How difficult was it to have that quite long period of establishing the main characters without progressing the story too much? Are you itching to tell the rest of the story, or?
Yes. Yes, I am. I have about like 6 or 7 chapters planned already, and so it's just like it's gonna take a while to get to it. I know, but you know, slow and steady wins the race, I suppose. And I have a lot of stuff planned that's gonna be pretty awesome, or at least I think it's gonna be awesome.
You mentioned this already in your introduction, that they're searching for this island, Lost Nova, which is some hidden an unknown language that only one of the main characters can read. How much of this have you drawn from the Legends of Atlantis? For
A lot.
Have you researched the legend in any detail, or are you just using it as a base?
I'm just using it as a base, really. Like that, and a couple of other like lost islands, like Avalon. But other than that, no, I'm not really using any. I haven't really studied Atlantis, the Atlantis myth in depth. I'm just kind of basing it on that, and then just kind of making up my own thing.
Right. So there is the story that they're looking for this island, but how much of is the story really there only just as a vehicle to get the characters there? Because I got the impression that it's really more about the characters than about the quest they're on.
It is really more so character-driven than it is world-driven. I am trying. It will eventually get more of, you know, seeing more of the world, everything else. I mean, it is just getting started. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. But it is really just mostly character-driven, and their relationship between each other and how they're able to help each other get to their ultimate goal, which is finding the island. Whether they do or don't, I can't tell you though.
No, we'll have to read to find out. I also get the impression that a strong undercurrent is the racism that's being expressed against the halfers. Is this an issue that you want to reflect on the real world, or is this just something that's otherwise important to you?
It's just something that I thought was interesting. No, I don't think racism is interesting.
I know what you mean.
It's not really it's not really meant to be like a commentary on political stuff or on the real world. Really, it was just something that I think is I don't know. I just have some kind of an interest in it, just showing the relationships between different groups of people, and how like some people treat people one group one way, but they'll treat another group an entirely different way, even though there's no real difference between the two groups.
I notice it's mostly elves there. Am I right? They're elves?
Yeah, they're elves, pretty much.
Some form of elves.
Yeah.
Humans seem to be known in the world, but not really in the area that they've been so far. Yeah.
In the overarching story, there is kind of this big this big Cold War between the humans and the elves, and it hasn't been touched on yet. We will eventually get to see more humans, and maybe go to a couple of human places, but that's kind of a little farther on down the line. Right now, as far as like humans go, there only is one and a half, in Vera, and then Dampton, who is the boat slave.
Yeah, he seemed not a very likable character. Was that intentional, or? Well, obviously it's intentional with him specifically, but was it intentional to have the one human to be very disliked?
A little bit, I guess. I'm trying to make him a little more likable, but he is just kind of a bit of a curmudgeon. I mean, I don't think anyone really wants to be a slave, so, I thought what was really funny, though, was a friend of mine read the comic and she's thought that, he looked like Marilyn Manson, and I'm like, oh, great, he looks like a serial killer.
Well, he looks quite... I wouldn't trust him if I met him drawn like that, at least.
He's a little on the shady side.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of drawing, how about you do a bit of live drawing for us, and then
okay.
we'll
Sure.
have some more questions afterwards.
Alrighty. Alright, so it's drawing time.
Do you do most of your drawings on computer, or is there a stage that you do still on paper with ink?
I still draw out the initial sketch. Like this is actually something I drew in my sketchbook. This is for the top weekly webcomic thing. I'm trying to do incentive work now, and so I'm like, oh, how about we do pinups? Right. So right now I start everything in the sketchbook pretty much. And this also applies to the comic book pages too. I draw all the panels out in my sketchbook and then I scan them. And then I fix them up in Photoshop. I used to print them out onto Bristol board, and then ink by hand. But I've been playing around with this program called Manga Studio, which is a really great program for digital inking.
Is that the program you're using here now?
No, this is Photoshop.
All right.
Yeah. But when I finish fixing this up in Photoshop, I will be inking it in... I probably will be inking it in Manga Studio.
Right.
Yeah, I just really switched because it was a lot faster for me to get the pages done if I didn't have to print them out, bring them downstairs, and ink them by hand. I still think it's really important to learn how to ink by hand, but for the sake of speed, I just ended up having to switch. So. Right.
Yeah, you said you're updating once a week?
Yeah, I update once a week, usually on Tuesdays. Right. Sometimes I might miss, but usually it's like Tuesday or at the latest maybe late Tuesday or Wednesday morning.
So it sounds like a lot of work to get a full color page done once a week. Because I'm presuming you've got a job or some studies or something going on as well?
I do have a job. I don't really want to talk about my job right now, though.
No.
But yeah, it does take a little bit of time. It takes me maybe like 4 or 5 days to get the page done, from start to finish. And it's really bad because I don't have a buffer, and I really should have a buffer.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling there.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's like every chapter I start, I keep saying I'm gonna do a buffer, and then I never do. I maybe get like 1 page for buffer, and then I don't have anything else. And then, like, I just have to spend the rest of the chapter just trying to get the page done by the deadline.
Mm-hmm. So this is a stage right after the sketching. So you scan the sketch, then you do some cleaning up in Photoshop. I presume that's what you're doing here. And then you take it to Manga Studio for the inking. And then the coloring you also do in Manga Studio?
No, Manga Studio is mostly a black and white program. It's mostly for like inking and like toning kind of stuff. If I do any coloring, I usually bring it into Photoshop, or I have another program called Painter that I like to use for coloring. But usually I'm just coloring in Photoshop. If I'm feeling really adventurous, I might just print this out when I finish the pencils, and then just ink and color it by hand.
Because I noticed the very last page you got that foreboding background of the other half around there, which is quite different art style than the rest of the comic. Are you planning to mix it up more in the future, or is this just a one-off?
It's just the one-off. It was just kind of like exposition page, so I just wanted to make it I don't know, just a little foreboding because you're getting to know a little bit more about Beckert, who turns out to be this evil jerk
He sure looks
pirate.
evil, yes.
Yeah, he kind of is evil, but he's like when you get to see him a little bit more, he is evil, but I can't give that too much information about him though.
No, of course.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler alert.
I wish you the best of luck. I'm gonna finish off this vodcast here now, I think, because we're reaching the end of our time. Thank you very much for talking to us and for making this lovely drawing. I'm sure it will be up as an incentive on your site, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how about you just give your URL for the people?
Alright, yeah, you can find my comic at lostnova.com. I'm also on Tumblr as JDJD, which is JADIE twice. I'm on Tumblr, the same name, JDJD. And I'm on DeviantArt at JDKins. So, yeah, I hope to see you guys soon. Hope to see somebody soon. And thank you for having me.
Thank you very much and have a good day.
You too.